Hey guys, my name's Doug with Infotainment.com. Today I want to talk to you guys about the Ford Truck Electronic Trailer Brake Controller. We here at Infotainment.com carry plug-and-play electronic trailer brake controllers. The best part is it's a Ford factory part. We're not using anything aftermarket. We're not using any aftermarket wiring. It's a very, very easy installation process. Now, we do carry them for the 2011 and higher, or the newer F150, as well as the 2011 and higher Ford F250 through F550 Superduty trucks. So I have them laid out here. I'm gonna take a minute to describe how they work and which ones go into which vehicle, and then we're actually gonna show you how they install in all of them as well. All right, guys, the best part about this, I mentioned plug and play. That's because we partnered with OBDgenie.com, and we actually have a programmer that you can plug into your OBD2 port once you've installed the switch to enable it just like it would be from the factory. So a great product here. It is included with whatever kit you decide to purchase. So we're gonna start down here. This is for the 2011 to 2014 Ford F150. You'll get the switch. You'll also get the relay and the fuse. Some of you might already have those populated. If you don't, it will be included with the kit. Again, 2011 through 2014. Then we move over to this switch here. This is the 2015 through the 2020 Ford F150. It's already pre-wired, guys. All you have to do is plug it in and you're ready to go. We're gonna move down here. This is the 2021 and higher. You actually have to replace, this will be 100% pre-programmed to your VIN. You have to replace the electronic trailer brake control module, and then you just add the switch. Again, once you've installed the switches, you run the OBDgenie programmer in the truck, and it will enable it just like it would be from the factory. All right, down here, this is the Ford F250 through the F550 Superduty truck kits. This is the 2011 through 2016 kit. And then this is the 2017 through 2022 kit. Again, just plug it in, run your OBDgenie programmer, and you're done. Now, the 2023 and up Ford SuperDuty trucks all come from the factory with the electronic trailer brake controller, so you won't have to worry about that. But this is all the different kits that we offer at Infotainment.com. Let's show you guys how they work now.
All right, so now we're in a 2014 Ford F-150. I'm gonna show you how to install this trailer brake control module. Basically, you can see this hole right here. This is where that module mounts. Typically, you'll have a pocket or some kind of a lock-off plate in this location. This is where our switches are actually gonna lay. In order to access this area, we have to remove a few things. There's a right way and a wrong way to do this. I'm gonna show you the wrong way just because it's the quick way. It's gonna save you a lot of time. The right way would be to dismantle the whole center console just to remove this piece of plastic here, this trim panel. But the quick way to do it is you're gonna wanna remove your cluster bezel, which has two 7mm screws going straight up to the top right here. And I'll remove that now. So for this installation, an angle driver is actually gonna be your best bet. You can do it with hand tools. If you don't have any kind of power tools, this is just gonna save me some time. Nice idea to have a magnetic bit driver, just so you don't lose your 7mm anywhere in the truck as you're doing the removal. To get this trim bezel out, I'm actually gonna grip it on the bottom here on both sides to pop it loose. Then I'll lower the steering column and pull it back, and I'll lock that into place. That'll give me a good amount of room to work in. And up top, you want to just pull straight to the rear. I like to grab the holes where the screws are actually recessed into, and then you'll free this whole bezel from your cluster. Now, you don't have to completely remove it. You can let it hang. If yours doesn't have this little leather or vinyl fabric here, you can actually set it aside. But if you do, you don't have to remove it. You're just gonna kind of push it out of the way a little bit. Now what you can do, since you have access to the side of this panel here, you can just grab it on the side and pull towards the rear. And basically, it's just some retaining clips that are holding this panel on. And I'm gonna pull it out and I'm gonna disconnect this plug off of the back. You should be able to flex this panel back out enough to slide your module into place and mount it. If you need more room to work, you can, like I said earlier, disassemble the whole center console, but that is a very involved process. So this is a much easier way to do it. And with your pocket that would be in this location, there's two 7mm screws that are actually holding that on. You have one on the top and one on the bottom. So we'll pull these out, and basically you're gonna reuse these to mount your trailer brake controller. There we go. Now that we have full access, we're ready to slide our trailer brake controller in. You're gonna need to find your wiring. My wiring is right here, very easy to access. Sometimes it's on the back side of that pocket. Sometimes it's actually taped up on a harness below. If you find a harness that is looks like this one and it's taped up down there, not being used, that is the trailer brake control harness. So you're gonna wanna remove it from the tape. Sometimes it's down by the OBD2 port or up on the side, up underneath this area here. This is sometimes just like taped up off to the side, and sometimes there's also a cap on here. Just know that that is the trailer brake control connector, and if there's a cap on there, remove that cap because you won't be able to plug it into your trailer brake controller. Now we can plug this in just like that. Slide this into place. Make sure not to hide that harness. I'm going to need that to put it back together. All right, we got it mounted. We'll grab our plug that we unplugged earlier, plug that in, and now we can go ahead and snap this panel back on. Now we can get our cluster bezel, and we'll slide this back into place also. Be aware that the top edge of this bezel has a little lip on it, and there's another lip on the truck side that it's actually gonna slide into. So if yours is kind of hanging like this, that means it didn't really get into that lip. There we go. Everything's nice and tight, and we'll put those two 7mm back in, going straight up. All right, and that's all there is to the install. Now we're ready for programming. I'll grab our programmer and we can run that and test out the trailer brake controller. All right, now that we got our programmer, I'll go ahead and turn the ignition to the on position, and we can plug it in, and all we're gonna do is wait for that light to turn green so we know that we programmed our truck. All right, programming took. I'll cycle the ignition off and then back on, and then we can try it out. Also, on our 2014 Ford F150, this is for the 09 to 14 F150 guys. When doing your trailer brake controller, you want to make sure that you have your trailer brake fuses and relays populated. The ones that you're interested in are going to be 37, 38, 39, which are these three right here. Number 73 as well as 67. And this is going to make sure that all of your lights and everything else for your trailer as well as the trailer brake controller works. There is a number 9 relay, which is also for your trailer. This is for the auxiliary power. This is not necessary for the trailer brake controller, but just throwing that out there, that is another relay that you can add to get your 7-way in the back of your truck completely populated and working. But yes, 37, 38, 39, and 73 and 67. Make sure to check those. As long as you have all of those in place, you're good to go. If you don't, you are going to have to purchase those as well. All right, we'll go ahead and hit our gain up and down. You can see we have our gain right there on the cluster. And when I squeeze our trailer brakes, we don't have a trailer connected, so we're gonna get that error again, just like all the other Fords that we're doing. And that's pretty much it. All right, we're gonna move on to the next truck and do the same thing. All right, so now we're in a 2016 Ford SuperDuty. This is the F250 350. This is the dash bezel here. Right here you can see this opening right below our radio. This is where you would have either a little pocket or a blank panel knockout. When you pull this little panel out, you'll have a wire connected to the back of it, and this is what you're going to be plugging your trailer brake controller into. Removing this panel is pretty easy. You can just use a panel tool and pop that out. If you have a little hard time doing that, what I like to do is come over to the right side here where we have our auxiliary input. You snap this panel out. You can just reach behind here with your hand and push out your aux switches, and that'll give you a lot more room to actually push that pocket out if you need to remove it, as well as add in your trailer brake controller. So for this model of trailer brake controller, it's fairly large. It kind of sticks out past where those buttons would go, so it actually makes it easier to install this while everything else is out. But once you plug this connector into your trailer brake controller, there's some grooves up here that you're going to line up, push straight back until it clips into place, and then you can go ahead and reinstall your aux switches. And lastly, you can pop your auxiliary switch back into place as well. Now that that's installed, we're ready to run our programmer to get this to work on our cluster, and then we'll see how it works. All right, so before we run our programmer, I'm going to turn the ignition into the on position. Got my programmer in hand, and now you just have to plug this into your OBD2 port. All right, we got a green light indicating it's been programmed. Now we can test out our trailer brake controller and see how it works. All right, we started our truck. We'll hit our gain up and down. And again, we don't have a trailer hooked up, so if I hit this button, it'll give me that trailer not connected warning. All right, let's move on to the next truck, and I'll show you how to do it on that one. All right, so now we're in a 2018 Ford F-150. We're going to be swapping out our little pocket here for a trailer brake controller. To do that in this truck, it's pretty simple. So we're going to be starting at the top up here. If you have a center mounted speaker like we do, you're going to have to pop this grill off. If you don't, it should just be a pad that you pull out, and there will be a couple of screws holding that rear section on. But I'll set that pad aside. To remove the speaker grill, it's pretty easy. You're going to want to just like pry up on the edges, and it's just held in with some clips. And up on the side of that center mounted speaker, you have two recessed holes that are holding your 7mm screws. So this is where an angle driver will help you out. All right, then you can just kind of grip this little center pocket to give you some room for your panel tool. This whole pocket is also held in with some clips, and I don't have to unplug it or anything. I'm just going to spin it to the side, and that's going to expose the two 7mm that are holding our center stack bezel here in place. We'll pull those out, and now this whole radio bezel will pop free. To make things easier, I am going to remove this. And you can see just how small that little clip is. Just gonna want to get in there and depress that clip, and you can slide your connector out of there. And we'll do the same for these two bottom connectors. All right, now we can set this aside. All right, next I'm gonna remove this little center lower panel down here. This is not 100% crucial, but it just makes things easier. All right, next up, what I'm gonna try and do is remove this center console cover right here. This is actually attached to the side panel, so I have to remove this in order to pull this back. But to make my life easier, I'm gonna remove both sides at the same time attached to this, this panel here. You'll see why when you're going to put this all back together. If you separate this part separately from these two side panels and you try to clip it back into place, you're going to be fighting a lot of stuff. There's going to be a lot of things going on. So the way I'm going to show you how to do it is the easiest way to kind of prop the whole thing back in one move. But to do that, there's two lower panels, one on either side, that I'm going to have to snap off. The one on the driver's side has a 7mm holding it in at the front. The one on the passenger side doesn't have anything. So let's go ahead and pull those panels now. Just grabbing the edge of the panel You can even stick your fingers underneath where the carpet is, and you're just going to be snapping the little retaining clips off. Just like that. If some of the clips fall off, they go back on pretty easy. You just kind of got to center it on there and it'll snap into place. But this is basically all you need to achieve. Once you have that off, I'll set this aside and I'll do the same thing on the driver's side. All right, and on the driver's side, right to the right of that gas pedal, you have that hidden 7mm down there. Once you get that one off, same thing like the passenger side, just pull towards you and you can get this panel free out of here. Next up, I'm gonna grab the inside edge of our panel here. Once you have that free, you can grab the inside edge of your side bezels and pull those to the rear. As you see, the whole thing comes out kind of in one piece. You have some wiring harnesses back here that you can disconnect, and you really don't even have to pull the whole thing out all the way. You're just getting enough room so you can pull your pocket out. Now, once you reach this point, this pocket is not held in with anything but some clips at the top and the bottom. If you pull straight back, you'll release the pocket, and on the back side of that pocket, you can see that harness is plugged directly into the back side. There's no electronics in here. But you unplug that, and some other videos that you may find online, they tell you to take apart the knee bolster area and drop that panel just to unplug this. There's no point in doing all that work if you're going to pull the pocket out anyway. When you pull the pocket out, the harness will come with it. So once you pull it out, very simple, you plug your trailer brake controller in, and then you just snap this back in that pocket's place. And basically we took all this apart just to do that. Now we can throw everything back together. All right, we got the trailer brake controller all installed. Let's go ahead and program the truck. I'm going to turn the ignition into the on position and run our programmer. What we're going to do is wait for a green light to show us that we've been successfully programmed. All right, now we're good to go. Take that out. Give the ignition a key cycle. Now we can test out our trailer brake controller. All right, let's give it a squeeze here. We don't have a trailer connected, so it's going to give us that error. But as you can see, we can adjust the trailer gain up and down and manually operate our trailer brakes, even though there's no trailer in there. All right, so on our 2021 Ford F-150, you can see here on our dash, we have this opening. This is where a coin slot of sorts or some kind of a cover plate would be. This is the piece that you just need to pop out. If it's a coin slot, you can actually just put your finger right on it, pull straight back, it'll unclip itself. There's nothing else holding this on. On the back side of that coin slot is going to be this wire. This is actually going to be plugged into that piece of plastic, even though there's no electrical components in there. This is what you're going to plug your trailer brake controller into. Just like that. And then snap it into place. All right, so now that we got our trailer brake switch installed, what we have to do is change out this module. This module is right up above your brake pedal area. So when you're looking up right in this direction, you're gonna see this exact module. This is gonna be included with your kit. There's just two 10mm bolts holding this on and a Christmas tree type push pin. So we're gonna undo the wiring, take those two bolts out, and then just push up because it's kind of sitting on a metal perch type bracket. So once we have that out, we're gonna swap this one in, put the two bolts back in, and plug it in, and then we'll be done with the installation part of this whole upgrade. So let's get up underneath the dash. All right, so basically we have two plugs at the bottom of our module. We're gonna unplug this and this. And right up here, you can see we have our 10mm, and there's one more right here. All right, now we should be able to just push this up and out of the way, just like that, and remove our module. Now we can grab our new module, put that little push pin in the middle, and reinstall the 10mm bolts, one on the bottom and one on the top. All right, now all we gotta do is plug in our connectors. All right, and we're ready to go. All right, now that we got everything we need installed, we can move on to programming. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and turn the ignition on before we plug in our programmer. And then we'll simply plug our programmer into the OBD2 port, and we're gonna wait for a green light. All right, we got green. That means we are programmed, and we can test it out and see how it works. All right, we don't currently have a trailer connected to our truck, so it's gonna give us a little error here. But when you hit the gain buttons to increase or decrease the gain, you can see that reflected on our cluster. All right, so that was on our 2021 F-150. Let's move on to the next truck, and I'll show you how to do it on that one. All right, so now we're in a 2021 Ford SuperDuty. That's a F250, F350. Where our trailer brake controller is going to be located in this truck is right where this hole is right here. You would have a little pocket or a coin holder of some sort, or a blank knockoff plate. Either way, this is where we're going to install our trailer brake controller. In order to access that, we do have to remove this side panel. So this bottom lower panel down here doesn't need to be completely removed, but we do have to pull this far left side edge of it back and outwards. There is a 7mm screw holding that in down there by the pedal. We're gonna have to pull out. But where we're gonna start is up top above the radio in your little storage compartment up here. You may or may not have a center channel speaker. If you don't, you'll have a rubber type of cover in here that's gonna go from the front to the rear. And when you lift that up, you're going to expose two 7mm screws that are way back in here. But because we have that center channel speaker, we're going to have to pop this grill up, which is pretty easy to do if you have a panel tool. You kind of wedge it up underneath the edge here, and I like to twist it while I'm in there to pop those retaining clips up. That's all that's holding this on. That'll expose our speaker, as well as these two holes right here. These are where our 7mm screws are. If you have an angle drill, this will be your best friend here. Makes easy work of pulling those out. And once you have those two out, this whole center pocket actually lifts up and pops out. There's a couple more retaining clips in here holding this on. There we go. And now that this is removed, we actually don't have to remove it anymore. We can leave the wire attached and everything. I'm just gonna spin it, leave it out of the way. And that's so I can access the 7mm screws that are holding on the top edge of our radio bezel. And then we can pop the whole radio bezel back. Just like that, just a bunch of retaining clips holding that on. We're not gonna really be messing with this at all, so I'm not even gonna disconnect it. I'm just gonna set it aside. Now the whole top of our side bezel here is exposed, so I can pull this back, but it won't come off until I remove that bottom section. So I'm gonna head down there, pull that 7mm out, and then we can pop this panel off. All right, and as you can see right here, this is just to the right of your gas pedal. You have a single 7mm screw going in through the side. And now this panel here will actually pull towards the rear. And once you pop it off, that's all you basically have to do is just pull it back a little bit, because all you have to do is clear where the clip was mounting into our side bezel panel here. All right, now we're free to basically pop this whole panel straight to the rear, and we can unplug our 4-wheel drive selector, and we're good to go. Back in this hole here, this is where our pocket would be, and the pocket is basically just clipped in. There's nothing holding it on, so you can pull straight back on that pocket, and this harness will be plugged into the back of that pocket. So once you pull that pocket out, you're gonna unplug your trailer brake control connector, grab your trailer brake controller, plug that into the clips, and then you can just snap that in its place, and the install is done. Now we can go ahead and put everything back together. All right, so we got our controller installed. We're ready for programming. I'm gonna turn the ignition to the on position, not start it, then I'm gonna run our programmer. And like before, we're gonna wait for that green light to show that our vehicle's been programmed. All right, green light, we can pull this out. I'll give it a key cycle, and then we'll try out our trailer brake controller. All right, we'll go ahead and try our gain out. You can see we got our gain working like it should. And I'll hit that trailer brake, and we don't have a trailer hooked up to this truck either, so we're not gonna get any response from it, but gain is working, everything looks good.
All right, guys, as you can see, super easy to install. Again, this is 100% factory Ford parts, along with the OBD Genie programmer. We carry so much more than this at Infotainment.com, so come take a look and see all the different things that we offer. Thank you so much for watching today.